there, guys. Good morning. My name is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast. Super pumped. I love watching the video, and I love watching my guests' face as they watch the video as we get started. I hope you're joining us live, and if you're watching it on a playback, make sure to go to YouTube and subscribe, Master Motivation Podcast, and we'll tell you all about our guest channel as well. But this is Anthony Goldner. He's a former collegiate ice hockey player, senior deputy sheriff, canine handler, high-performance executive coach, and founder of Infinite Gold Legacy. With more than 12 years on the streets of law enforcement, Anthony has built his approach to leadership, fitness, and performance through real-world experience under pressure. Through his signature Thor protocol and elite coaching, he challenges men to take control of their health, strengthen their mindset, build relentless accountability, and elevate their business and leadership. So get ready for a powerful conversation about discipline, resilience, performing under pressure, and what it takes to unlock your full potential. Thanks for being on the show, Anthony. Appreciate you.
Jason, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is I'm super excited. So I'm a little bit of a lurker on your content. I really love your stories, your videos, and the stuff that you're putting out there. As you can see, I'm also into fitness and into activity and the discipline mindset, the growth mindset. So this is going to be an amazing phone call, live podcast, if you will. And of course, we're going to talk about Thor because, everybody likes Thor probably better than you anyway, right?
There we go.
There you go.
The flip of the camera got me.
Yep.
Yeah, so, everybody likes Thor more than me. It is what it is. I call myself the chauffeur. So I just drive him around. That's basically what my job is, in a nutshell.
I love it. Well, hey, tell everybody a little bit more about yourself, something maybe I didn't include in that opening intro, and let's just start it off.
Yeah, so basically you kind of put it into a great nutshell. I played hockey ever since I was like 5 years old, very heavily into team sports. I actually tried karate. It didn't work out very well for me. I've tried like all the other sports, didn't work out. Hockey was just the most intense and most, I would say the most physical sport ever. And I'll, fight anybody on that one, literally. And so it's a great sport. I played all the way through college. I actually refereed about 3 or 4 levels below pro. I was getting ready to actually head out to the Midwest to pursue that full time, but then I got hired within law enforcement. My ultimate actually goal within law enforcement was just to do 3 years and lateral into one of the 3-letter agencies. But it turned out we get paid a lot more and have a little bit more fun at times. So I stuck it out and did exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to work within our narcotics unit and do canine, and now I get to do both at the same time. There's a little photo of him right there. That's what we use for when we go out to our canine trial. So my lovely wife will carry that and support us. But from that time period of being in canine, being in law enforcement, it really showed how much I wanted to help people, help businesses, and what have you. And that's where I got into the executive coaching. That's where I got into high performance coaching of men that are at that level and they either have plateaued or they're, struggling in one of the different areas. Like they're probably phenomenal at business. They're making all the sales, but then maybe their health isn't as good. Maybe their family life isn't as good. And that's where I like to come in. I kind of like to be that operational architect, help them throughout the things, find out where they may be, getting off track with some things, bring them back on that track, kind of as, we do with the canine, and then really hone in on what it is that they want. And that's where we came up with the Infinite Gold Legacy. Gold goes with my last name, Goldner. Infinite is one of the topics that we talk about within coaching, and legacy. Everything's about legacy, right? You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have anything else, what do you have? So that's kind of like the added nutshell for what you just mentioned.
Yeah, well, and that's what I love about, reading your posts, your content, listening to some of the shorts and videos, is that, and everybody defines success in a different way, right? And so a lot of people will talk about success being the money, the fame, the cars, the toys. But what I love that you bring up is that when you do not have your health, you have nothing. And when you don't have the family and the loved ones to spend the life with, that fame, success, money doesn't mean a whole lot, because that becomes a very lonely life. And so that internal growth from within, taking care of your body and being there for your family, and you being in law enforcement. I mean, man, you got to take care of your body so you can take care of everybody else. If you don't, you're doing the community a disservice. And so that's, one of the things that I really appreciate it. Now let's get back to the hockey for just a minute, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, what is one of your favorite hockey movies of all time, or give me your top 3 hockey movies?
All right. Well, is that even a question? The top movie is Miracle. It's
Of course.
It's the best hockey movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really have any like the top 3. Like that's literally like my go-to. Like if I'm gonna go watch a hockey movie, that's like the go-to movie that I'm going to watch. And then we already had the Olympics. We destroyed Canada. It is what it is. They lost both the men's and the women's. Sorry. 250th anniversary. Like it all just goes hand in hand. Like that's the movie. There it is. Number 1.
Yeah, for sure. That's always when I ask people about hockey, I'm going to hear about Miracle. If we want to get silly and we want to get funny, some people bring up Slapshot, and then
Goon is a funny one too.
Right, and if you go back, not sure if you saw this one, but the one with Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, Keanu Reeves. I'm blanking on the name right now. It's going to come to me. But it's a really good one. It's a really bad movie, but it's a really good one. I'm going to be thinking about that for a second because now it was like top of mind as soon as we talked about hockey. But now you did say that you would fight anybody, that hockey is the toughest sport.
Correct.
And I don't want to fight you. But, I think that wrestling has got to be up there too, right? Did you ever get involved in wrestling?
So it was so funny when I was like also checking it out, and wrestling, when you first mentioned it, I was like, oh, like wrestling, or are we talking about like WWE? So then I realized that we're talking about completely different things. But no, don't get me wrong, like the athleticism that you have to have for it, and then the moves that you have to do 100%. But the reason that I always mention that hockey is more physical than anything is we're moving at such a high speed, and we're literally on like an eighth of an inch of a blade. So like the speed that we're moving at, the eighth of an inch, like you have to be able to maneuver a lot faster. You have to be able to do certain things a lot faster. And then on top of everything, we have fighting. Like you have fighting in wrestling, but you don't have any of the other stuff. We have the other stuff. Football, baseball, basketball, they have all the other stuff. They don't have fighting. So we still got it in that one. We always have one up on like anything that you want to bring up. We've got the one up on it.
Well, I will say that I do enjoy a good hockey game when there's a good fight, and being a martial artist, my whole life, I love watching the UFC, but you get to watch the UFC on ice. So,
except we don't have much technique. You grab the jersey and you just start swinging. There's not really more like, finesse to it. So like you guys have a little bit more finesse when it comes to martial arts, comes to wrestling. There's more finesse to it. We have no finesse. You grab the jersey and you just start swinging.
That's right. And when they hit the ice, the fight is over and we're on to the next.
Yeah, take a 5-minute break. That's it.
5-minute break, yeah. So you've competed as a collegiate hockey player, spent more than 12 years in law enforcement, served as a canine handler, and become an executive coach. How have those different chapters in your life shaped the person and the leader you are today?
So it's very interesting when you pose that question. You talked about leadership, right? If you look at every single one of those facets, it all has to do with team. It's all teamwork. It's all actually leadership. And maybe that's why I wasn't very good at, karate and stuff like that, because it was more individualized. I like the whole team aspect of things. I like the leadership. There's a captain in all three of those facets, right? There's a captain in law enforcement, or you have, the sheriff. In hockey, you always have a captain. You have assistant captains. In canine, you have the captain of the unit, or within you and the dog, you're the captain of the canine. So being able to be the leader is extremely important. And then having people beneath you that also can be the leader when you're not present. That's one of the things that I've loved about continued it going.
So sorry, Anthony, we cut out for just a second. I missed that last maybe 10 seconds. We were talking about team and leadership and being the captain. Run that back just the last 10 seconds or so if you can.
Yeah. It's those points in your life that really have honed in and allowed me to really be the leader that I am today.
Yeah. It's interesting too that you mentioned a lot of people that come to me for martial arts say the opposite, that team sports weren't their thing and that they really like the individual, they like gymnastics, they like karate, they like dance, those individual sports. And I guess for me, in my experience, I always looked at martial arts as so I agree with you with the team aspect. You've got an instructor, you've got a second in command, assistant instructor, and you've got students that are working their way into those positions. So I believe highly in that whole, the hierarchy of a team and becoming a leader and enhancing your leadership skills. So I love all of that. And I hope that, maybe one day I can get you out on the mat and you can start training with us a little bit, and you could get a different experience of karate, because I think that we've got an amazing team.
The Krav Maga stuff is I'd be more interested in, just because of law enforcement, and like we do a lot of jiu-jitsu stuff and what have you.
Yep.
I need to recover some injuries that I have.
Yeah.
And like when I used to go, unfortunately, it was probably just the place that I was at, is they didn't understand the idea of slowing down. And like I've got like impingements in like my shoulder and like certain things in like my knees from hockey and my hips. So I'm like, I gotta take things a certain way, and they just went balls to the walls every single time. And I'm like, you got to bring it down a little bit for me, because there's no way I can do this. Honestly, it's the same thing with hockey. Like I stopped playing adult hockey probably 2 years ago, because there was a bunch of like 18, 19-year-old kids that thought it was the Stanley Cup Finals every time. And I'm like, I don't think you guys realize I have to protect you tomorrow on the streets. Right. Like you got to relax for me, buddy. Like,
and I think this also ties into what you were talking about when it comes to leadership too, because a good leader knows how to push a class or push a student at their pace, meet them where they are, and help elevate them at their level to the next level. Versus, like you said, for lack of a better term, balls to the wall all the time, right? Someone's fallen by the wayside. And this is one of the things that I think martial arts missed for a lot of years, was that the martial arts, kind of weeded out the weak people. And the weak people were the ones that needed martial arts probably the most, as far as confidence and self-discipline and knowing how to protect themselves. So, we go so hard and go so fast, and we're not kind of bringing them up. They just fall off the wayside. I mean, it's kind of like if you bring on a new rookie and you're taking them out for the very first time, and you're just throwing them to the fire without any training or any protocol to follow. They're probably going to break, right? They're probably just not going to be able to handle that. And so I think that that's a good point to bring up, is that some people just don't know how to lead. Some people don't know how to develop a team, and they don't know how to bring people along. So anything to add to that?
No, it's funny that you mentioned that. So when I did karate, and it was, I was probably, I think my dad said I'm somewhere between 5 and 10 years old. I was young. So I don't actually remember it, but he said that was the main reason why I left, was because when I was that young of an age, I liked the whole team aspect of things. I didn't like the whole, militaristic, the whole, do it as I say, and like all of that stuff, because it was just me and my dad. And he said that was the main reason why I left, was because my karate instructor was basically like this way, and like both, and just go every single time. And I was just like, I'll go play hockey.
Well, it worked out for you, and here you are. And now we're talking about law enforcement, right? And it puts you in situations where you have to make decisions under tremendous pressure. What has that career taught you about controlling your emotions, staying focused, and performing when the stakes are high?
Emotions is everything. And like emotions is everything in every aspect of your life, right? The way you react to certain things, and the way you can be proactive prior to it, right? That's why we always talk about, and you talk about it most likely with your training as well, is that the way you're going to act when shit hits the fan is basically how you've been practicing, right? However you've been practicing prior to that is most likely how you're going to act when everything goes sideways, right? We always have the perfect plan, and it never goes as planned, right? So how have you been training leading up to it in order to react to those things? And the biggest thing that has to do with that is your emotions, right? If your emotions aren't in check during practice and you're letting them get haywire, they're 100% going to get haywire when shit hits the fan. And vice versa, right? If you're not pushing yourself hard enough in practice, then when things go sideways, you're not going to be prepared for it. So your emotions is everything. And one of the biggest things that I always talk about is, especially with some of the executives that I coach, is when things go crazy and your employee does something that they shouldn't have done, or they screwed something up and you just lost $100,000. What's the first thing that you do? What is it? And a lot of them say they run out there and they react. And it's always the worst thing to do. I always recommend, well, why don't you just take a couple deep breaths? Why don't you, figure out exactly what happened? And you don't have to, dwell on this for 5, 10, 30 minutes. You just dwell on it for a minute or two. Why did this happen? Was it something that you allowed to happen? Was this a mistake that you did? Was it a mistake that they truly didn't mean to do and it just happened? Like, are they brand new? Thinking about all these things, taking some breaths, doing some breath work if you need to, at box breathing, whatever breathing exercises you prefer. That's what's also going to help you now step out of that room and react to it a different way. Same thing with us on the streets, right? The way we're going to react with the suspect, or the way we're going to react with the victim, if our emotions are in check, it's going to be completely different. Things are going to be a lot more copacetic. It's going to go a lot smoother than if we bring ourselves up to their level. We never want our emotions at the same level as them. Yes, there are times, where if we're now fighting someone, if we're wrestling someone, if we're doing certain things, yes, we want ours now to be above them. We want them to be stronger. But if we're doing more of this, tit for tat, this more of like anger, but not necessarily fighting, we want to be always lower than them. We can always match them, but always stay lower than them. And what usually happens is they come down, right? So your team, right, they just screwed up. They're expecting you to come out balls of fire. When you come out, right here, they're also going to be like, okay, I don't have to be so defensive. Okay, I did screw up. Let's learn from these mistakes. And then vice versa, like with my dog. If my dog makes a mistake, or my dog goes something worse, and I bring my energy all the way up there, he's gonna go up there and even match me. I mean, you have dogs, you know how they act, right? We always need to bring it back down, and that's why one of the favorite things that I like to coach on is the leash protocol, and we could talk about that later and not go too in depth in it. But basically, the way you react is the way your team is going to react, the way your canines are going to react, the way your kids are going to react, the way your wife is going to react. Everything just flows right down that leash.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that reminds me. So I went on a ride along with Moore Park PD as part of the Moore Park Citizens Academy, which, by the way, for those of you here in Moore Park, it is coming up and you can register now. So please check that out. Yeah.
I always do a portion of it.
Yes, you do. And so when I went on the ride along, and I also did one for part of my Ventura County Leadership Academy, did it in Oxnard. By the way, very different experience doing a ride along in Oxnard and doing it in Moore Park. But needless to say, what surprised me in both situations, because, quite honestly, out in Oxnard, things were a little bit more heated when we pulled up on the scene, and, we had to talk with people. And I was amazed, absolutely amazed. Every time that one of the officers would get out of the car, they would approach the suspect and they would talk to them, the way that they talk to them in such a calm, easy, and then you got someone yelling in your face, almost spitting in your face, going nuts. One lady was totally whacked on drugs, tried to beat her Uber driver, and said that the Uber driver was trying to kill her, and all the while, the officers are totally calm, collected, and it goes back to the training, because I asked them when we got back in the car, I said, I would have knocked that fool out, like one more like that, and you're just done. Right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I mean, think about it. If my emotions escalate, their emotions escalate. And just like you said, if I can come into it calm and they're already heated, maybe I can cool them down by keeping my temperature low. And I was fully amazed. And I mean, we're talking about, I was only on like a 4-hour shift and they still had another 4 to go. And cool, calm, collected, but it was all about the training. That's all we talked about, was the training in, de-escalation and being able to approach a situation without any prejudice. And I was, and it kills me though, because I read things on social media, you see things on Nextdoor, and people that are
Mm-hmm.
not as forgiving and not as pro law enforcement and have every negative thing in the world to say. I'm like, man, if you just went on a ride along and watched what they have to go through,
Yeah.
and then to see how they handle it professionally
Mm-hmm.
and without any incident, I was just absolutely amazed. So I had to throw that out there because when you were talking about all of that, just reminded of my two ride-alongs. And so I encourage anybody, by the way, go on
Yes.
a ride-along, go get involved in your Citizens
Mm-hmm.
Academy in your community.
Mm-hmm.
So you spent more than 5 years working alongside your canine partner,
Mm-hmm.
Thor. What has that relationship taught you about trust, communication, discipline, and leadership?
Yeah, so I guess I maybe added in what I was going to talk about for this one. And the previous one is my leash protocol, right? And one thing I've learned is dogs are toddlers. They really are. It doesn't matter how old they get, how young they are 100% toddlers. You have some great days, you have some horrible days, and you have some what is going on days. That's the best thing that I've learned about communication is being able to communicate with your partner. Unfortunately, I can't communicate with him, but I can understand his communication. And that's what's been the biggest thing is dogs communicate with you. Obviously, they don't communicate to you with words. They communicate with you with body behaviors, with the actions that they take, right? So, for example, one of the things that we do is we do the different demos, right? We go to different schools and stuff like that. Me being able to communicate with Thor and understanding how he's acting that specific day knows of what I can do, right? Am I going to be able to do a full demonstration? Am I going to be able to let the kids pet him? Am I going to be able to let people take photographs with him? Some days, no. He is trained as a working dog. So that is what he loves to do. Some days he doesn't want to mingle with the public. I need to be able to read that. I need to be able to communicate with that. That's helped me tremendously in body language with law enforcement in general. Like that's one of the biggest things we learn, right? We learn, are people, they have closed fists? Are they looking elsewhere? Are they 1,000-yard stare, right? We learn all of these body behaviors. I've learned even more working with Thor in those aspects of things. Leadership is everything, right? I talked about the leash protocol. The way I react and the way I act is the way he's going to. He's going to react, right? Is dad calm? Is dad relaxed? Is dad, in a heightened state? Like he always knows when we're driving Code 3. Well, he knows when we're driving Code 3 because the lights go on. But he always knows if we're getting close to the situation because most likely my pulse is going up. My blood pressure is probably going up. I'm very good at keeping it low, but it's inevitable that when I get closer to the scene, it's going to go up. Now, does it go up as high as most people and the way most people react? No, it's much lower. But they are so in tune with me, they know when it starts to go up. Oh, we're getting closer. So she starts getting more antsy. Now, if we're just driving, for example, I was in that one pursuit that went from Ventura down to LA all the way around, and we ended up in like Baker. I was in there for like 2.5 hours. Thor fell asleep halfway through because I'm in the back of the pack, right? Nothing's happening, so I'm just driving. I'm just like I'm eating some snacks. I'm drinking my coffee. Like he fell asleep. Like we're driving Code 3, following a pursuit, but he knows the way I'm reacting that he's like, well, ain't nothing's happening, and nothing's been happening for the last 10 minutes. I'm gonna go take a nap. He literally took a nap at one point. I should have gotten a video of it because it was hilarious. Like I look back and I'm like, homeboy is snoring right now. We're in pursuit. But that just goes to the emotion side of things. That goes to the leadership side of things. And this all passes down to everything that we do, right? Within your family, your kids, within your business, the way you react, the emotions that you have, and being able to communicate with that, with everybody, with your words and your body language is everything.
And I think this, in addition to obviously training and being able to recognize, I think, experience has a lot to do with it too, right? I mean, if it's your first rodeo, it's, everything's on high charge, right? Everything.
Yeah.
But you've been there a couple of times. It's kind of like in jiu-jitsu, right? When I was, even just not a couple of years ago as a very early beginner in jiu-jitsu, I would breathe really hard, breathe really heavy, and tense up every time I was getting moved, and I would be so agitated. And now it's like, man, I've been choked out so many times. I've been tapped out. I've been, rolled. And now it's like, okay, well, what's like literally what's the worst that's going to happen today? Like, okay, all right, we just go with this. So yeah. And same thing as a new parent, your baby is crying. You rush to the baby to pick him up and hold him. And oh my gosh, I want to control this situation. Whereas I gently lift them up, hold them, rock them, sing to them, relaxed. You relax, they relax. When you're tense, they're tense, right? And so 100%, I can see it not from your eyes, from your experience, but from my eyes in a
Oh,
different experience, right?
experience beats everything. And like it's funny, and not to like get too off topic, but like my little brother, he's just turned 21, and he was talking to me. He's like, should I go to college? Should I do this? What should I do? And that was literally one of the things that I told him. I said, if you want to be a deputy, because at the time you want to be a deputy, I was like, you don't necessarily need to go to college. Now, can you learn some life experiences and certain things from it? Yes, don't get me wrong. And then he's like, oh, he leaned more towards the construction side. I said, honestly, I wouldn't go to college at all. Like exactly what you just said, training and experience will trump paperwork, written things any single day. Like you can go through this 6-month academy. You ain't going to know crap the day you get onto the streets. Right? If you go to college and you're trying to do construction, or you haven't hit a nail, you haven't actually dealt with sales, you haven't done the certain things that you need to do. Starting from the ground up, making your way up, the training experience is where you're going to learn all those little nuances, all those things, and you can't beat hands-on experience. Anytime, anything. Maybe being a doctor, yeah, you probably should go to school first, but you still need a hands-on experience, right? Like
Got to have that experience. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. So, I know this wasn't one of the questions we really planned on talking about, but you mentioned, thoughts on college. And so did you go to school? And how did you make the choice to kind of move in the direction that you did, kind of moving from hockey into law enforcement and then sticking with it?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, and this is not ego. I was very good at school. I was literally that kid that went every single day. I didn't miss a single day of school. Like I got chickenpox once, and I was crying because I had to miss school. So I wasn't going to get perfect attendance. I had straight A's all the way through elementary school, and then that actually was kind of a damper for me because it was so easy and so good that everything just went to shit from high school to college because it was too easy for me. And I think that's where like the whole idea of being a coach, helping people, being in law enforcement, helping people is I needed that, that push. I needed that, like something that's outside of my comfort zone. I only went to college because I wanted to work for the 3-letter agencies. You had to have a degree, or you had to be law enforcement, or you had to be from the military. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go to the military. And so I went to college. I got my 4-year degree in finance because numbers and all that stuff was very easy for me. And then my goal was to do 3 years in law enforcement and transfer over there. Well, it turns out I loved law enforcement at our level way too much, at the county level way too much. So I was like, well, we're not going to lateral over in that direction of things. But the answer to your question, college, I only did it because I thought I was going to join the 3-letter agency. Other than that, I probably never would have done it just because it wasn't. I was going to. Oh, also, like you mentioned, I got to play ice hockey. That I played for COC. So, like, I was on that 5-year plan because I was just playing hockey and messing around. But that was the main reason, and the only reason I went to college.
So, I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people that own their own business and self-employed, and I kind of hear that recurring theme. Like, I went to 2 years of community college right here in Moore I went to Moore College with my wife, and but I was also so passionate about martial arts that literally the year that I graduated from, with an AA, 2-year degree from Moore College, 1996, is the same year that I decided to open my business. Now, I transferred to Cal State University Northridge, again, with my wife. At the time, we were still dating.
That's where I graduated from.
Did you? What year?
So I graduated high school 08, 2013, December of 2012. So I did 4.5 years. December of 2012 is when I graduated from CSUN.
Well, thank you for making me feel a little bit older today. I would have graduated CSUN probably around 1998, but I didn't because I chose the route of being an entrepreneur and owning my business. My father was self-employed. And I find that a lot of people that are self-starters and people that want to be their own boss are the ones that kind of bypass college and going to school. They just like, I went because I thought that being a PE teacher, I thought I was going to be a PE teacher. That was going to be my day job. And the karate school was going to be my hobby or what I did afterwards, But I was so passionate about martial arts that I I gave up the idea of school. I also have a 21-year-old son who went to 2 years of school, and now he's thought a lot of different things. He's talked about construction. He's talked about law enforcement. He talked about the military at one point, and he's just kind of figuring out. But he knows that school is not necessarily his niche. My daughter graduated from Channel Islands, got her 4-year degree. So everybody's different, right? So I'm thinking that maybe my son might have that entrepreneurial spirit a little bit more like I have and my father had. But I just find that very interesting that some people that kind of move away from the school route have that type of leadership or that growth mindset in them. Even though we know that school is education and school creates opportunities for us, not knocking it at all, but everybody takes a different road.
I feel like if you're trying to do a professional job where it's needed, I think it's super important. Like if you're trying to be like a teacher, if you're trying to, be a college professor, if you're trying to be a lawyer, a doctor, like if you're trying to do certain things like that, I think it's super needed. But if you're not, like for me, I got my finance degree. Like you didn't need that to be a CPA if you really wanted to. Like you could start at the ground level and learn way more than what I learned. Like I didn't learn. I was in and out of the pub on campus. Like I was drunk for my finance major test. Like I passed it and I ended up with like a 2.9 GPA. Like it doesn't teach you the aspects of the job, like on hands of the job, the training experience. So if you're like trying to go that route, like the professional route, yeah, you need the degree. But if you don't need the degree for your job, it's, in my opinion, it was a waste of money.
Yeah. So back about, we were talking about Thor, talking about K9. The movie's coming out, Arthur the King. Have you seen the trailers for this with Mark Wahlberg? So it's Mark Wahlberg, and he's got his dog, but now he's military.
Okay.
And so, well, if you haven't seen the trailer, then we can't really talk about it. But I thought as soon as I was getting ready to talk with you, I was like, oh man, he's got to be super excited about this movie, but so maybe not yet.
The one that I've seen, or the upcoming one that I've seen, is The Beast. I've seen that one.
Okay.
That one's coming up. Arthur the King. I mean,
wait, Arthur the King maybe is the older one. Maybe The Beast is the new one that's coming out.
Are you talking about the one where like he crashes in the plane and yes. Okay, I think maybe I'm mixed up, but yes, I've seen that one coming up, and yes, I'm very highly intrigued about it. I'm excited.
Okay. Yeah, so Arthur the King may be another one with Mark Wahlberg and a dog. So anyway, I get my movies. I've seen so many movies, and I could talk about movies all day long. I still can't remember the hockey movie with Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze. So anybody watching live, if you know what movie I'm talking about, please jog my memory because it's killing me. I keep thinking about it. Well, let's talk.
The Beast one does look amazing, and it literally just goes hand in hand in the connection that a handler and their dog have together. Like if you're listening in and you're watching this, and you're a dog owner, you know the connection that you have with your dog, right? Now just add in there that you work with them like 12 hours a day, you're with them almost 24/7, and you go into high stakes environments with them. Like the connection and that bond is through the roof.
I can't imagine. I did post something a little earlier this morning about my little Chihuahua that I did not want to love this dog. I had a bulldog before this guy. I had a basset hound, and these were my dogs, but my wife wanted this little baby Chihuahua who's like 65% Chihuahua. It's a mutt, really. Because some piece of dirt dropped it in the middle of the desert in a bag with other puppies. Can't stand people sometimes. I love dogs. Don't always love people.
One of our dogs, when I was younger, came the exact same way. We were at a river, and someone dropped like 10 of them in a box, and my dad took one of them as well.
And those people should be dropped in the river and left. But yeah, so I post this picture of this dog because my wife snapped it in the morning, and here I am like, I did not want to love this dog, but this dog made me love her. Like it's just, and I don't work with her all day. She's not with me all day, but man, when it comes nighttime, that's like my teddy bear now.
It's
crazy.
I agree. It's amazing. So I heard you typing. Did you find the movie?
No, I didn't find it. I still can't find it. I can't click over to check that out. But hold on. Is someone commenting? Oh, Dana Abbott Hey, Dana. Dana's watching on YouTube. Dana, if you know the hockey movie with Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, and Keanu Reeves, it was Keanu Reeves' first movie, I
I
think.
could probably bring it up too.
Yeah, check it out if you can. But anyway, because it's just going to kill me all day long.
I'll look it up while you ask the next one.
Okay, so yeah, I got stuck on my dog now, and now I can't think about anything else.
That's me. Young Blood,
Youngblood. See, there it is.
1986. I don't mean to make you sound even older. That was before I was born.
God damn it! It's terrible.
That was 3 years before I was born.
Unbelievable. That's
I will
yeah.
check. I will check it out though.
It's a funny, fun-ish watch. I mean, if you can take it, like I can watch 80s movies all day long. Anyway, back to back to your canine. Now, your dog does not like you're not sleeping with Thor. Like that's not how it works, right?
Nope.
Your dog is not even usually not even in your bedroom. Is that right?
No, he's. We have a kennel outside. That's where he stays. I've got a roof over it. If the weather does get too hot, if it does get too windy, raining, like it's coming in sideways, we do have an indoor kennel. That's basically in the corner of the house. It's just it's just like a metal crate. He'll stay in that at night. But other than that, he's in his he's in the backyard in his kennel.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I only knew that because I had one of my students who, long story short, he was a basketball coach, and I was looking for new instructors, and friend of a friend hired him to be a karate instructor. We became really, really close, really good friends. Anyway, he decided he was going to go into law enforcement, and eventually became a canine operator as well. So, and I'm not sure where he's stationed now. Last name Kennedy. He's out there, but yeah. So he would always. I'm like, so like, where's your dog go? Like, he's like, no, dog's outside. We have family dog. This is work dog. Yep. Totally separate. Because it changes how he behaves, and it changes how he reacts to you. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. And some people always say like, oh, they're going to get too soft. And to be honest, if you have a strong dog, they're not going to get too soft. What it does is they're bred, and a lot of these dogs, this is actually what they like. So a lot of people are like, oh, they don't like this. Like you're ruining them. Like we can get into like all the people who are like dog lovers, and they're like, oh, the dog doesn't want this. I was like, no, this is exactly what the dog wants, and this is what the dog enjoys. Like, for example, if I open up the gate to the kennel, he'll run around, he'll play. A lot of times he ends up back in the kennel. That's his home. That's his safe space. That's what he enjoys, right? Inside of the patrol car, the back seat of the patrol car, that's his home. That's his safe space. That's what he loves. For example, if I leave to go to like, first aid training or jiu-jitsu, right? Like we have to do that once a year as well. I leave, I take my patrol car because we have a take-home car. I leave in my patrol car. My wife says that he'll pace the kennel for almost 2 hours. She says it's not that long anymore, but he would pace almost for 2 hours, wondering why I left without him. He doesn't want to be home. He doesn't want to be a pet. He doesn't want to, be on the couch rolling around. He wants to go to work. That's what he enjoys doing. So we provide them with what they want. They want to work. We allow them to work, aka that's what we want too. But a lot of the things like toys, certain things like that, like we can't let him have the toy 24/7 because they're trained to bite, they're trained to play. They'll destroy it, they'll swallow it, they'll do certain things. So like they don't get those, like they get it when they work. And does it help them with the work aspect of things because they don't get the toy all the time, they don't get certain things all the time? Yeah, it definitely does. But the main reason is not because of that. It's just we do with them what they truly want to do, and that's work.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that up, and things because you get the dog lovers and and they have a different view of what how they should be handled or how. But thanks for explaining that. We got a bunch more questions, and we got about 20 minutes ish, so I think we'll fit it in. Okay. Let's talk about physical optimization. Right, it's the foundation for success in other areas of life. What do you think our health has such a powerful impact on our mindset, leadership, relationships, and business performance? We touched on this in the very beginning, but touch on that just a little bit more.
Yeah, it's literally everything. I mean, we talked about emotions, right? Well, if you aren't healthy, if your blood pressure is horrible, if your pulse is horrible, if all these things are horrible, well, when you're it's not going to help your emotions. It's not going to help when the situation arises, right? If you already have a high pulse or high blood pressure, well, when the shit hits the fan and your pulse and everything is going to go up anyways, well, where's it going to go? It's now going to be red line, or you're already going to be in the black zone because your health isn't there. If you're trying to chase someone down, right? And then you finally catch them, right? But you don't have the health, you don't have the longevity, you don't have the aerobic exercise for it. When you get there, there's 0% chance you're going to be able to bring your emotions down. There's 0% chance you're going to be able to be calm in the situation because you're not healthy, you're not fit. And that goes for business, right? Let's say you are, you've got a ton of sales calls, you've got a ton of meetings, you're going from place to place, you're doing certain things, and you're moving around that building, and you're not healthy. Halfway through the day, you're going to be exhausted. And then it's going to hit the fan when you're exhausted. And what's going to happen? You're going to overreact because you're not healthy. Health is everything, right? I mean, one of the biggest things I talked about is a lot of business owners or a lot of businesses, they're doing so well, but then they get home and their family life isn't great. Well, are they not healthy, right? They just had a stressful day at work. If you're not healthy, that's going to compound everything. So you're now going to get home. You're going to be more irritable. Your emotions are going to be through the roof, and you're not going to be, healthy enough to be there for your family, right? Or you had a stressful night with your family, and you're not healthy, and you go into work the next day, and your emotions are already running high. So health optimization is everything. You mentioned it earlier. We can have all the money in the world, but if I die at 65 because I'm unhealthy, what was it worth? Was it worth anything? It's not. Longevity and health is everything.
And I put this into context when we're training our adults, and whether you're doesn't matter your age, right? Mm-hmm. But right. I'm talking about when you're not in shape. Let's imagine that you have a child and your child is across the parking lot and they're being grabbed. And you can't run from one side of the parking lot to the other side and have enough gas to get there and protect them or protect your loved ones, right? And so we have this drill we call run, fight, run. And it's like, we'll run, a sprint, pound the bag, pound the target, get attacked, turn around, run back the other way. And we do this just to kind of get our body. And it's not just, by the way, like people think, oh, like, I'm just not a good runner or my lungs are no, it's how do you handle the stress, right? Because you can control your heart rate to a certain extent with proper breathing and being able to have the discipline to calm yourself down in that stressful situation, right? And so we talk about this in Krav Maga all the time, is that if you can't run from one side of the parking lot to the other and defend your child, spouse, friend, whatever, that's a problem. That is 100%. A major problem.
I saw a video on Instagram, and probably a lot of people have. It's gone viral. It's an elderly gentleman, and every single day he's picking up a kettlebell. He's picking up like a 20 or 30 pound kettlebell, and this is all he's doing every single day. And they're asking him, why is he doing this? And then basically it fast forwards, and he ends up having a grandchild, and he's just picking up his grandchild. And that was the main reason. So he picks up his grandchild and allows his grandchild to put a star on the Christmas tree. That's what he was training for. If you can't do that, if you can't walk up the stairs with your kid, if you can't do certain things, how also is now your kids going to emulate you, right?
Right.
You can't run across the parking lot to save your kid. Okay, let's just take it a step back, right? You're not running. You look fat. You look unhealthy. What is your kid inevitably going to be? And then you're going to be angry. Why, son? Why are you so out of shape? Why are you so unhealthy? This and that. Well, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? It's a hard truth, but they're going to follow suit. So if you want your kid to be healthy and live a longer life, you better do the same thing.
One of the worst pieces of advice that I ever heard as a child, and I would hear adults say this often, is do as I say, not as I do.
Yep.
And I'm like, I look back on that and I go, that's the worst piece of advice I've ever heard in my life, because you can tell me all you want to tell me, but if you're not showing me, and it's one of the things, I talk about this a lot, even my daughter, when my daughter was born, I was not raised Catholic. I was not raised in a very religious background. We had faith and we understood and believed in Jesus Christ, but I was not practicing my faith. And So when my daughter was baptized, I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, how can I raise my daughter as a Catholic and not practice the Catholic faith? How can I raise my son who I'd like to see become an athlete or become active without being an athlete and being someone that goes to the gym? How can I expect my children to appreciate reading if they don't see me reading? I can't just tell them what's good for them.
Nope.
They need to see me do it.
Correct.
And I hope, you talk about legacy and how important that is. I hope, if anything, I have left a legacy of this is how you can live your life healthy and be successful and still love what you do as a career and have a passion. I hope that's the legacy that I've left behind.
100%. And like we've talked about so many different things. We've talked about ice hockey. We've talked about Krav Maga, karate, wrestling. We've talked about so many different things. Find the sport. Find what you enjoy. Do you enjoy running, cycling, swimming? The gym. Yoga, Pilates. Like there's so many different things out there that you have zero excuse to say that I just don't like working out. I just don't like doing this. Find something that you enjoy and do that. You can find it.
Well, and this next question is perfect because a lot of successful people know what they should be doing, but still struggle with consistency. What separates people who continually make excuses from those who develop real discipline and accountability? And I know one of your recent reels or stories talked directly about this. It was something to the effect of if you have to talk yourself into going to the gym, right? It's the one I'm talking about.
You've already lost. It's all about your identity, and that's the problem that I work with a lot of men on is changing their identity, right? The biggest thing, and not it's on subject, but is a lot of law enforcement, a lot of first responders, militaries. That's our identity, and that's not your identity. That's where a lot of the depression hits. That's where a lot of unfortunately, law enforcement, we have this running joke, which is a horrible running joke, is we die within 5 years of retirement. The main reason behind that is because of our identity issues. We put our identity so much into that we don't know who we are. We don't know what we do. But we're so many different things. We're fathers, we're husbands, we're athletes, we're so many different things. And that's the issue that people get, is they get into their mindset that I don't go to the gym, right? I don't work out. I don't eat healthy. Well, why don't we change the identity of that you get to, right? I get to go to the gym. I get to eat healthy. I get to, live a longer life. I get to, create this legacy for my family. And the second that you could change the identity to it, it helps you create the discipline of moving forward. A lot of times people think that they rely too much on motivation, right? I need to be motivated to go. Oh, like right now outside your window, it's sunny. Okay. I'll go run today. But if you change your identity to I get to run, or I am a runner, it doesn't matter what the weather is outside. If you say I am a gym guy, I am a Krav Maga, I wrestle, I do certain things. Like if that's your identity, it doesn't matter what is going on in the world, you're going to do it. And that's the first thing that I try to change and work with men, right? They've got this great business, they're doing all these things, but they're unhealthy. But why don't we just change your identity to that you are somebody that eats healthy, you are somebody that works out, you are somebody that wants to create a legacy. Well, can you create a legacy if you're dead? You can't. And sometimes there's certain people that they need the hard truth. Some people need the more, empathetic side, and I'll always start there. And if I see that it's not going anywhere, we go to the hard truths. All right, well, what's going to happen if you die tomorrow? All right, it's all over.
Well, sometimes tough love is the best love. It's hard for people. People don't want to hear it, but they might need to hear it. And I face this as a coach all the time with 3-year-old kids and 30-year-old adults. Oh, yeah. And I think you're right. The identity. I used to say I hate running. I would say that I hate running. And so every time I thought about running, I just had this negative feeling, right?
Correct.
I got to the point where, as a martial artist, as a father, as a man who thought that he was athletic, got to about 245 pounds. This was probably back in 2012-ish, right? 2012, 2013. And my brother, my youngest brother, actually said, "Hey, I'm going to do this race or this run." It was a Spartan race, and he
Oh yeah,
said,
I
"Come
remember
with,
those.
come with me." And I said, "Dude, I hate running. I hate running." And so we did the Spartan Super, which is an
Yep.
8+ mile with obstacles and
Hmm.
the whole bit. And dude, I sucked so bad on this. I was so terrible at it, and because of the athletic part in me and the competitive part in me, I said, I will never let this happen again. Because at the time, at 2012, I think, my daughter was 10, my son was younger. I was very active and involved in their sports, but I was neglecting my sports and
Hmm.
my activity a little bit. And so I told myself after that race, I will never, ever feel this way again.
Hmm.
And so I went on a just a tear of I was running Spartans like almost 4 or 5 times a year, different races. I ran I don't know how many half marathons, how many 5Ks. Did a Ragnar race. Ended up signing up for a triathlon, and all because I told myself so much that I hated running. But I remember the run where I finally got that runner's high, where I was just running and
Hmm.
I wasn't thinking about running at all. I was just going. And I said, this is what I was missing. But you got to go through the shit
Hmm.
to get to that too. It's like, being a white belt in jujitsu can sometimes suck because sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail, sometimes you're the piece of wood, right?
Yep.
And so, but then you get to this place where you enjoy the process,
Hmm.
right? Being a white belt in martial arts is really hard. Starting a new career is really hard. But when you learn to love the process, then I think everything changes. And so going back to the identity, I put this false identity on myself. I'm not a
Yep.
runner. I hate running.
Hmm.
No, I just had a bad mindset. And so when I changed it and said, yeah, I'm a runner. I can run. I'm
Yep.
able to run. And I haven't looked back since then. I've really continued that path of challenging myself. Our coach likes to remind us never miss an opportunity to challenge ourselves. And
I
so,
love
like, even
that.
I'm on the treadmill sometimes, and I hear his damn voice, and I'm jogging it, like, whatever. I hear his damn voice, and I'm like, I gotta hit this thing and crank it up and go. Or I'm lifting something, and it's feeling pretty
Hmm.
easy, and I'm like, I gotta put more weight on it. But I think that was some really great advice that I hear in my head. When you have a good coach and you can hear their voice in your head, oh man, it sucks sometimes, but man, how grateful can I be for that voice in my head to remind me when my own motivation is lacking. People make fun of the show sometimes, the name Master Motivation. I just came up with the name out of nowhere one day. It was like it used to be called Master Fitness, actually, was what it was. And then I said, well, I'm gonna change it. And I just said motivation. Let's motivate people with a podcast. But motivation is just one piece of the process because we start with the motivation, we develop discipline, we see some success and reward, and that remotivates us to continue through that discipline again.
Well, let me ask you a question, and I love that you kind of brought it up. Is would you have started that journey or done any of that without your younger brother?
Possibly
Me,
someone else, maybe.
but it would have been somebody else, correct?
It would have been somebody
So
else.
that's the biggest thing, and you already mentioned right there with your coach. A coach and a mentor and or brothers alongside of you, and I'm talking about any brother, not just your blood brother.
Yeah.
Brothers alongside you, those are the ones that are going to hold you accountable. Those are the ones that are going to get you to the next level. And a lot of the people that I've coached is they haven't had that coach or that brother or that accountability. They haven't had someone by them sides because unfortunately with in men's work a lot of times is we think that we can do it on our own or we have to do it on our own and we go into isolation. The second that we can get out of that as fast as possible and we have brothers alongside of us, coaches alongside of us, that's where we're going to get to that next level. That's where we're going to reap the rewards of everything that we've been working for. And whether or not that's business, life, marriage, health, all of that stuff, you have to have a mentor, a coach. You have to have brothers alongside of you to hold you accountable and get you to that next level. We weren't put on this earth to do things alone. So when you have those people around you, that's what helps us get to that next level.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up, and I know that you also talk a lot about men keeping themselves in isolation. Men don't talk about their feelings. Men don't ask for help. Men, I can do it on my own. I got this. It's something that in our society has been kind of bred into us. But I agree with you 100% that we can't do anything worthwhile alone. Anything worth, the legacy, right? I mean, and we don't do it for ourselves. It's something that we're doing for others. And so I think it's definitely important. I'm very fortunate that I'm surrounded by a team of men who are, they support me and they clap and they cheer for me when I do well.
Mm-hmm.
But man, they're not afraid to let me know, like, bro, you're slacking, like or call me out on my own nonsense. Sometimes we can believe our own hype, and so we need those people that bring us back to that reality a little bit.
I love what you just said about clapping, and I love that you said that first, because that's the thing that a lot of men are also lacking in theirs, is that the men that are like pushing them along and clapping for their wins, right? A lot of times is they're always like, trying to harp on them. They're always trying to bring them down. They're always trying to do this, and this. It's like when you've got men that can be on both sides of it, they're there to hold you accountable. They're there to push you up when you're low, but then when you're high, they're clapping for you. They're cheering for you. They're telling everybody about you. Those are the men that you need alongside of you, and those are the best ones.
And I think what some people might miss is that I want to clap for my brothers. I want to celebrate the people around me that win, because if I'm surrounded by people that are winning, I'm bound to win, and
Yep.
my wins may help them elevate. And we just keep doing this and this and this, and all we do is we help each other. So,
Exactly.
but ego can get in the way, and jealousy and envy and all of those things that sometimes takes place of that. So going back to the identity, you could be the victim or you could be the victor. It's
Yep.
just a matter of which
100%.
one you choose to be.
Correct. Yep.
Well, we're getting towards the end of our time, and I've missed quite a bit. And
It's all good. I apologize in advance. I talk a lot.
no, man,
When you sent me those, I was like, we ain't getting through all those. I already know how it is. I already know how I am. I should have warned you, but yeah.
no, but listen, let's end on this one. For someone listening who knows they're capable of more, but has become comfortable, inconsistent, or stuck, what are 3 things they can start by doing today to regain control and begin operating at a higher level?
I love the saying, and we use it in law enforcement all the time, is complacency kills. What you need to do and another saying is, when the pain is worse than the comfortability that you're dealing with, that's when you're going to change. And for some people, it's different all the time, right? Some people, they have to go through that pain until they're actually going to change. Getting around people alongside of you. We've talked about this. Having a mentor, a coach, having brothers, or if you're a female listening, and having women to support you. That's what's going to help you get out of that complacency stage and get you to actually change. Stop trying to be motivated. Like, you're not going to be motivated all the time. You need to create the discipline and the habits. Discipline and habits don't happen in 7 days, 14 days, 21 days. They happen over time. So you need to create the discipline and the habits in order to get out of the complacency of the life that you have and what you're going through. And get off of social media. And I know we're on here. I know we're doing live. You need to get off of social media. You need to turn notifications off, and you need to focus on you. That's what a lot of people need to do. People go into social media and they see all this glamorous stuff. They see everybody, they're making millions of dollars. They have all the cars. They look like they've got an 18 pack and they're just shredded. Well, what they don't know is the work that went into it. And that's the work that you need. You need to take a step back and you need to put in the work. I haven't lost any weight. Well, how long did it take you to gain up to 245 pounds, right? That took years, right? You're not going to lose that weight in a month. You're not going to lose that weight in 30 days. That 90-day program that you're going to go buy isn't going to work. It's not going to. All right. It's all glamorous. It's not going to happen. You need to put the time and effort into it. So the quicker that you can create in your mind of the length of time that it's going to take for you to get to those dreams, those goals, vision you have is going to be the best. Right away, you need to realize it is not going to happen overnight. You're not going to have that $1 million overnight. You're not going to have that shredded six-pack overnight. You're not going to be able to run 18 miles tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Just know that it eventually is going to happen, and put the time, the effort, and the work into it. Whatever time frame you have in your mind that it's going to happen, double it, triple it. That's when it's going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. The quicker that you can do all of that stuff, the quicker you're going to be happier, right? And then I love what you talked about earlier is the process, right? Get happy with the process. Whatever that takes in your mind, whatever that's going to help you do it, get happy with the process of it, right? You hated running, right? But the second that you were happy with the process of running, changed your mindset in everything. That could go for anything. So you're losing weight, right? You're losing weight, all right? You lost 5 pounds right away, because that's what always happens, right? We always lose 5 to 10 pounds immediately, and then it stops. Or then you gain 2 pounds back. Be happy and be excited for the process. Like, yeah, I lost 5 pounds. I gained 1 pound back. Whatever. We're still chugging along. The second that you can get into that identity shift, the better you're going to be off longevity. And just keep telling yourself that you hate the position that you're in right now. If you don't hate it enough, if it's not painful enough, it's not going to happen. Like, I think it's E.T., and I might butcher this a little bit. He's got the story of going out to the beach, going out to the ocean, right? When the pain of trying to breathe is worse than whatever you're dealing with right now, that's when you're going to change, right? Like, if you're too complacent and you're too comfortable in your life right now, you're not going to change. It's never going to be. Like, you could keep telling yourself over and over again that I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to build that business, but if you don't actually feel the pain of it, it's not going to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of people wait until that pain is too great, or they get a disease, they have a heart attack, or something happens. Please don't. Go talk to somebody that's already gone through it. And or a lot of people. I actually heard this the other day. Go to a retirement home. Go volunteer at a retirement home for 3 to 4 hours, and your perspective on life will completely change. The answer that they're probably all going to say is, "I wish I had more time," or "I wish I built that business. I wish I did this. I wish I did that." So maybe you need to hear that in order for you to change your healthy habits, change your business, and actually go do that thing you want to do. Whatever is like deep down inside you that you always want to do, go do it. Just fuck what people say. Excuse my language. Screw what everybody wants to say and the negativity. And if you're gonna fail this and that, go do it. And the best thing about that is failures create learning experiences.
Yep. Well, and I just read a post specific to jiu-jitsu. In jiu-jitsu, you never lose. You either win or you learn. And
everything. Life.
It's just life. Absolutely. Well, hey, we're at our time today. I knew it would go very, very fast. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for sharing with us. Where can people find you online? And even though we want people to get off of social media, where can they go see some of your awesome content? Because, I mean, if they're watching that and they're not watching the doom and gloom, I think we have, again, a different identity. So where can people find you?
Anthony D. Goldner on everything. You've got me on X, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. I think YouTube might still be my podcast, which is Infinite Gold Legacy. I don't think my YouTube has too much stuff on my personal side, which I'll be changing. But just Anthony D. Goldner, you're gonna find me on anything and everything. And exactly what you said. Don't get off of social media to the point of like there's still great things on it. Just don't be that doom scroll 24/7, and then turn your notifications off. Nobody cares that like you got a like or a comment or this and that. Like if you keep opening up your phone to look at those likes, those comments, those text messages, those all those things, it's taken away from your focus of eating healthy, of creating that legacy and doing the things that you truly want to do.
Absolutely. Well, Anthony, thank you for being on the show. Thanks for all your time. Appreciate you. Appreciate what you do in the community. Stay safe out there. Take care of Thor. I'll look forward to seeing you pretty soon. I'm sure I'll see you at another event. We'll get you coming to the Moore Park Chamber of Commerce and get you hooked in there. But guys, thank you all for watching. If you watch this live or you're watching it on the playback, go look at Anthony Goldner on YouTube and all his social media, and make sure to follow Master Motivation Podcast on YouTube. Help us with the subscribers. It helps us get the message out there. This was an amazing podcast. We want everybody to see it. So thanks again, and have a great week. Go change your identity, change your mindset, and take action. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you soon.